Hey, happy Thursday. This is DJ Straight coming to you live from Praise from the Closet. It is raining outside. Hopefully, you all don't hear it through the studio, but if you do, be thankful that you're inside and not outside. But I'm excited tonight because I have some special guests on, and as always, if you are watching on Facebook, hit share, and if you are on YouTube, hit subscribe to our channel so you can always see what's coming up. There you go. Praise from the Closet, that's our email address. If you have comments, you can always text us. No, do YouTube tonight because I don't have that phone in here with me. This is our YouTube channel. And as always, you can go to our website and hit listen live and hear inspirational music 365, 24/7. And it is great to be alive on tonight. So I have two special guests. Now, well, when the pandemic came, I don't think I watched as much news except Hurricane Katrina. But in 2020, I was glued to MSNBC, CNN, Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 9, because for one, I didn't know about the pandemic and what was going to take place. And then when it was a year of voters to vote, I literally stayed glued. And I'm so glad that our guests are on tonight because they are giving some very, very important information about voting, but not just voting, but voting while Black. And then also don't just vote because you have a registration, but understand all of the candidates that are on there. So here we go. Let me give a brief introduction. Dr. Diane Kern, and let's see, Miss Valerie Davis. They are the founders and co-founders of Being Well While Black, which operates under the auspices, that's a big word, auspices of a 501c3, a nonprofit organization, part of Elevate Her Incorporated. That's founded by Miss Davis. They are creating a nonpartisan Black voters guide that will have eventually some nationwide representation. So after tonight, there is no excuse why you're not understanding what it is that you need to do and the privilege that it is to vote. So I'm going to bring them on and shut my mouth so you can hear everything that they have to say. All right. Welcome to Praise from the Closet with DJ Straight. Thank you for coming on and taking time out of your night. So what I want to do is I want each one of you all to introduce yourselves, and then let's get right to it about the Being Well While Black organization, and then the Black Voters Guide. We do impromptu on this show. It's informative. We're live all the way.
All the way live. We like that. We like that. Well, I'll go first if that's okay. I am Diane Kern, and I am a psychologist professionally. And in addition to my psychology practice, I have a wellness practice called Happy and Healthy You. Learn to love life and live well. And then on top of that, I'm one of the co-founders, as you very kindly mentioned, DJ Straight, of Being Well While Black. We formed Being Well While Black back in 2020, May of 2020, shortly after the pandemic began, as a way to provide Black people a safe space and a confidential space to have candid conversations where we can relax, be able to talk about real issues that affect us in all aspects of our lives. And that's our definition of Black well-being. When we talk about well-being, we're talking about healthiness and well-being in all different arenas, ranging from finance to education, to housing, to relationships, across the board. And we'll talk about that a little more later. So I was blessed to meet the wonderful Valerie Davis, and we just synced right off the bat. And we decided that we wanted to do something to empower Black people and to, again, to address a lot of the issues, the stressors, the pandemic of the COVID-19, as well as the pandemic of racism. And then as we continue to work together, we did monthly programs that dealt with different topics that related to Black well-being. And this fall, we decided to pivot. We decided to focus and zero in on our, as you very well noted, our very precious vote. In this season where we're under attack as a people, where our voting rights are actively being diminished as we speak, literally, we decided that we were no longer comfortable just sitting back and letting this happen. And so we decided to step up, step out, and we're launching this nonpartisan, and let me say nonpartisan again, nonpartisan, because this is not a promotion of any political party or any particular political candidate. We want to elevate, literally, and highlight everybody's right to vote, and especially Black folks' right to vote. Too many people died and fought and made sacrifices for us not to honor that and to waste it and take it for granted. And as Valerie says, I'm going to go ahead and steal your say. That's what makes us all equal in this country is our vote. So so we are launching that. That's why we're here tonight. We are very grateful for you to provide us with this platform and for your audience to make themselves available to hear about our project. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Valerie. I think that covers me for the most part.
Thank you, Diane. And yes, thank you, DJ Straight, Sister Lynette. We are happy to be here in the number on the other side of a lot of folks who didn't make it this far. So let's just pause and appreciate that. And it is by no accident that we are all still here, able to use our ears and use our eyes and use our bodies and use our talents. And the question is, what are we going to use them for?
That's right.
Why are we spared? That's because we have a purpose. And part of my purpose has always been to help people understand what theirs is, to help them discover it. So before the pandemic, I was leading a nonprofit organization where I helped girls and women to understand their gifts and their talents and then figure out how to help that direct their lives. And I ran that business for 5 years. I was at the 5-year mark, which most businesses don't make it to in the United States of America. You don't make it to 5 years.
Okay.
And so April 28, 2020, we were going to have our 5-year anniversary gala. We were selling tickets. We had a room reserved. I was getting an outfit, the whole thing. And then this little tiny thing called the coronavirus shut it all down.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2 weeks, my business was gone. Just gone, just like a puff of smoke.
Wow.
Yeah. And I am a single mom. I live in Silver Spring, Maryland. I also had to figure out, how do we do this remote instruction from the dining room? And I have to supervise this, and what is going on? So I cried and I raged and I cried and I raged, even at the Lord. I have no shame in saying that, because he does not surprise. And then he said, begin again. And so I did. And I reformed 2 organizations, because I said, I'm never going to be 100% at the mercy of a nonprofit board of directors ever again in my life. So I formed Blossom Inc. that focuses on girls. And then I formed the Vineyard, where I do professional coaching, workshops, and retreats for women, particularly women of faith. So I'm starting over, filing applications, going on all of those webinars about the PPP loan and how to, survive as a business. And then one day I looked up and there was a news report that said it was either 3,000 or 3,500 Black people had died that day, the previous day, from COVID-19. And something in me just stopped. And I said, no, that's not going to keep happening. So I just started calling up my girlfriends and I said, did you see the news? Did you see the news? I don't know what we should do. And I just remember having a conversation in my prayer closet, bless the closet, about this. And the Lord said, stop complaining and do something about it. Mm-hmm. And I had to look again, like, wait a minute, hold tight. I'm already starting this other thing over. I'm already trying to figure out remote instruction. And you want me to go, what? I'm not a health person. Long story short, 9 Black women formed Elevate Her out of nothing. Not a dollar, not a dime, not an office, not a nothing. 2 years ago. And here we stand as a 501c3 who has done a ton of COVID-19 response work. And we are now expanding into diabetes prevention for Black women as the first underlying condition that made us sick and die disproportionately. Correct. But the Being Well While Black project was going on simultaneously. And then Diane and I had this light bulb moment, like, wait a minute, Elevate Her is about causing wellness in Black communities and employing Black and Latin women to do that work. Why are we doing this separately? Ding, ding, ding. Let's just bring it under a full wellness and well-being umbrella, and that's how we got here. So for those of you who have this the big thing that you aren't doing because you can't quite figure it out, or you're too tired, or you're waiting on all the resources, we are witnesses that it doesn't sometimes come like that. If he gives you the assignment, he will make the way.
Absolutely.
And that's how we got here.
Absolutely. That's great. I'm sitting in the closet because I'm doing the assignment. So it sounds like that both of you all had different passions, but yet all the passions came together to make one. So tell us about being well while Black. That entails what? Because that's a whole line. You got black, chocolate, brown skin, high yellow. What does that all entail? Because we definitely want to talk about that as well as the voter part.
Mm. Well, Diane does a good job of talking about what we call the Wheel of Wellness and our model, AAA model. So I'll pitch to her so she can break that down for your audience.
Well, each of our monthly sessions, our virtual sessions, had a structure to them. We always provided a presentation, the PowerPoint presentation, and our structure to around which we guided our discussion had two models. One was a model that I brought to the table called acknowledge, assess, and address. In other words, when we acknowledge whatever is going on that's a problem, now we can do something about it. As we know, we can't do anything about a problem that we won't even admit it exists. And the assessment piece, or the stage, is really stepping back and looking at and understanding what's going on, what caused the problem, how's that problem or that issue impacting us. And then the address stage is when we have figured that out, when we've done the evaluation, so to speak, and have asked those questions to get at the source. And now we have some clarity about, well, wait a minute, this is what needs to be done. This is where we're aiming for. This is where we're headed in order to resolve this issue or problem. And so we basically approached each of our discussions and the issues that were impacting the Black community in that way. In addition, Valerie brought to the table her model of right now relevant resources. So with each of our programs, toward the end of our visual presentation, we have web links to resources, websites, books, to programs to encourage people to follow up and to empower themselves, educate themselves, enlighten themselves further on whatever that topic matter is. So for instance, with this Black Voters Guide, when we first started off doing this, and we are still providing resources, Ballotpedia is one of the resources that we direct people to in order for people to go to that site. Because if I remember correctly, Ballotpedia is the website that informs people about who's running in their jurisdiction, I believe. And so a lot of times people don't understand, wait a minute, who are the candidates running? What offices are up for election this year? And so this is a way for people just to simply go to one site, enter in their local jurisdiction, and find that out. So we are really about empowering people with information, with resources, and engaging our community in a way that helps us generate our solutions.
Well, and it's interesting that you said that, because you said the AAA is acknowledge, access, and address. And
Yes.
that's what you all are doing with the Black Voters Guide. So I know when I go to the polls, I see a long piece of paper and I look maybe for a particular party. Some people I know the names and some people I don't. So tell us about reading that ballot, how important it is to understand your local jurisdiction, maybe state, and then federal. Talk about how important it is to understand that.
I'll do that, but let me just take you back and connect a few dots for you. Okay. When we started the conversation about being well while Black, just to state the obvious, it's a play on words, right? It's a play on sleeping while Black, working while Black, all the things, playing while Black that can get Black folks killed. And we just decided, well, let's have a conversation about being well while Black, right? And not only before we can get to what makes us well, we have to acknowledge and assess what is making us unwell. And so that play on words was a direct result of the murder of Mr. George Floyd and all the other similar and related loss of life and killings. And so we decided to take that and flip it to the positive, but acknowledge that there are many things that make us unwell. And so if I'm connecting dots, so just go with me. Since the pandemic began, listen closely, Black people on average have lost 2.9 years of life expectancy. We, on average, will live almost 3 years less than we did before the pandemic. That's 3 years loss of life. So if you're imagining that you don't know, you don't have a measure about are we actually well, just life and death, life expectancy has gone down by almost 3 years. That's one measure. But when we talk about wellness, we do talk about it, DJ Straight, the way you did, all of the aspects of wellness. So don't just think physical, mental, right? Maybe even emotional, but all of it. You know, if you don't have a job that allows you to live in affordable housing where you choose to live and send your child to a school where they can learn and they can drink clean water and get lunch and you can have transportation, all of those things can make you well or unwell.
That's right.
So we curated our conversations to be by Black people, for Black people. All those who did not fit that bill were invited to be allies in another forum, but it was a safe space. So I'm going somewhere. So then we said,
go for it. Yeah.
We said, now we are doing a whole year of we wouldn't even plan it in advance. That was the thing. We were organic. We're like, we don't even lay out a 12-month program of what we're going to talk about. We talk about what's relevant right now. So if it was grief, which was where we started with a 4-part webinar series on grief, because that was the thing that was all over us in the beginning, the loss. So we had 4 different sessions on different types of grief, loss of freedom, loss of finances, loss of faith, and loss of fellowship. We even talked about loss of faith because, when 3,000 people are dying a day, you do have a little side conversation with the Lord and say, are you there? Are you paying attention? Is this cool with you? Right. And that conversation, folks wouldn't allow us to stop having it. Like we were talking and they're like, what's next? That's how Being Well While Black was born. That's how we went from the grief focus to all of the aspects of wellness. And then as we got closer to the election, we said, now hold tight. We've been doing a lot of acknowledging, assessing, and addressing specific issues, but this election is coming and there's power. There's power in numbers. The 2 things that people in power care about are numbers of votes and numbers of dollars. And so we decided to adopt Queen Stacey Abrams, former gubernatorial candidate and current in the state of Georgia, who did a miraculous and wonderful thing. We took her book, Leading from the Outside. If you haven't read it, go get it and get it from a Black bookstore, Mahogany Books, Washington, D.C. And we said, we're going to read through it month by month. It's a workbook. It tells you about her life, her challenges, her ups, her downs, and then it asks some questions after each chapter so you can understand her model. That's what's behind our model for the Black Voter Guide and what we call Blacktivism. That's what we're doing. We are trying to harness our collective power as Black people, starting with the power at the ballot box to sustain a collective action for our well-being. So pick your issue. Your issue might not be my issue. If you're in DC, statehood has got to be at the top of your list, but it's not my issue if I'm in Wisconsin. But it is my issue collectively, because if there's any place that Black people don't have an equal vote, then it affects all of us. Maybe your issue is school lunches aren't healthy. Maybe you're tired of potholes. Maybe you're tired of not having to work 3 jobs to put it together. Maybe you need decent childcare. You can tie every one of those issues to the ballot box. And your vote is the same as a senator's vote, is the same as a teacher's vote, is the same as an unemployed person's vote. That is where we're equal, and we must harness the power. And our version of our definition of Black is anyone who identifies as being part of the Black diaspora. Wow. It's not about African Americans. It's not about immigrants. It's not about any particular group. If you identify, you see yourself as Black, you're in the family.
That's good. That's good. And it sounds like that you all go with the total nature of man, woman, boy, and girl. And we don't, if we don't have the knowledge, then we don't know that it can be better for us. So you created, you said a website earlier, and I want you to put that website in the chat so that I can
Yeah.
put it on display. But what I like from what I'm hearing you all say is that basically we're not going to have an excuse if the tools are set before us, but now we need, you all are opening up a platform that will set the tools up before us. So you all recently had an event on March 11th. Tell us about that event, the purpose of that event, because you're going to have more events in reference to the Black Voters Guide, because again, we all have that right to vote, but do we know what we're doing when we go to the polls?
Right. So Diane can tell you about the event that we had in DC and what we call them Blaction planning teams, what they do. And we really start with Civic Engagement 101 because we didn't really learn this stuff. So no shade if you don't know. And after she talks, then I'm gonna throw out a couple of fun facts and figures, and we'll see what the audience knows. Not to make anybody feel bad, but to also level set and say we all don't know
That's
what
right.
there is to know. So let's learn together. So, and I'll share my screen so you can see some of the information while
Sure.
Diane talks.
Okay.
So yes, on March the 11th, which was our most recent teach-in, that's the way we described it. We invited others, and at that point, by the way, we were forming our teams to actually engage in our Blaction, BLACKTION, our Blaction planning, which is one of the words we created along with Blacktivism. So basically, that was an opportunity to really highlight, as you just heard Valerie talk about, the importance of our vote and the value and the power of our vote, and to educate people around, not only the importance of it, but also the value of, as Valerie just talked about, the ballot box being the place where we exercise our power about any and everything that affects our day-to-day lives. And right now we're in a midterm election season. So that's where it's very important, because that's typically where a lot of the local issues, the local decisions are made that affects everybody's life on a day-to-day basis. The federal government might give a state, a county, a city funds, but guess what? It's up within those, whatever those larger mandates are. It's up to that state, city, county in terms of how those funds are dispersed. And again, this is where it's important for people to begin to understand, how their own jurisdictions operate. So basically, on March 11th, we presented, that our model for the nonpartisan Black Voter Guide, so that people can understand how important it is to be able to form a coalition, a team that then goes out and evaluates or surveys people in the community, because we want to make this relevant and real. And right now, for the people who are living in their communities. So one of a phase of our project is to survey. We're having what we call community conversations, during which we informally engage people in discussion about, hey, what's important to you, while we're also educating, just as you saw and heard Valerie do at the same time, and engaging people and motivating people to get involved. And so basically the community conversations kind of set the stage, and also it helps inform us, those of us who have formed the teams, the Blaction teams, excuse me, what are some of those top concerns that are and that helps guide the formation of our actual written survey. We actually plan to have a written survey, which we recently developed, that will allow people to respond either online, in print. We also have a QR code for the young folks, so they can, we can be out in a public place, or we can have a flyer that's posted someplace, and someone can, ignite or how download or whatever that QR code and access the guide, the survey that way. So our goal is to collect at least 500 responses to our survey per team. Right now, we have 3 teams formed that are local to the DC area. We have a team in DC. I'm the lead of that one. We have one in Montgomery County. Valerie's the lead of that one. And then we have a team in Prince George's County, Maryland. So we have 2 Maryland teams and a DC team right now. Ideally, and eventually, we would love to see this become a nationwide process. But let me get back to the nonpartisan Black Voters Guide process and what it will entail. So after we do the community conversations and the survey and gather data about what are the most pressing issues that the Black people in their communities want to have addressed by their elected officials, now we're going to the second phase 2 is to go to those people running for office. Some of the people are incumbents. Some of the people are running for the first time. So we want to know, we want to inform them, listen, these are the top 3 to 5 issues that were identified in your jurisdiction. What's your platform? What are your plans? How do you plan to address this? And for those who are running again for office, who are running re-election, what have you done? What's your stance? What's your record on this? So we want to collect that data and include, again, the responses of each of the candidates running in that jurisdiction on those priority issues that were identified and gathered from the people in the community, and to publish that information so that, just as you said, DJ Straight, when people go to the voting booth, they have in front of them now not just a scroll of names, some of which they know, some of which they don't, but now they can actually say, well, wait a minute, I see here on affordable housing that this candidate is planning to, to make sure that there's funding or whatever. In other words, now people can be informed. It's our guide to help people vote smart. So essentially, our March 11th session was, again, to educate people about the process and to begin that engagement of folks.
Okay, great. And eventually I'm going to put up, because I know some other seminars, you all have some other outings coming up as well. And let's see, Valerie Davis, would you like for me to go ahead and I think it disappeared.
Well, I was sharing the screen earlier. Were you able to see it on the screen?
No.
Oh, I hadn't pulled it up. Share it again so I can pull it up.
Okay. Let me just make this really tactical for you. So I'm holding my cell phone, right? Imagine being able to go to a free app in your cell phone for the Black Voter Guide, to be able to tap on it and choose your jurisdiction: Washington, D.C., Montgomery County, Maryland, Prince George's County, Maryland, and then be able to see a guide where everyone who wants your vote has had the opportunity to answer questions that came from you, because you went and you filled out that survey. You went to one of the community conversations. You joined the Black Action Planning team and put together the questionnaire. And you can say, George declined to answer the question on DC State. Not sure how I feel about that. And Mary said that she's not for it. June and Allison said they support it. You decide how you vote. Imagine you could build your ballot on your phone, print it out, and take it with you either to your kitchen where you fill out the mailed ballot that came to your house, or take it to the polls where you fill it out. That's what we're looking for. We want to put the power in your hand.
You can share it again, and I'll bring it up because I can show the screen while you're talking as well. I was just waiting for the cue. But what you all were talking about, because we see a lot of signs on the grass and we see the different people, and from my eyes, I'm like, oh, that's a Black guy. Oh, that's a white guy. Oh, this, whatever. And you really don't even know what it is that they're doing. Okay.
Right. And the thing about it is that, let me just talk about voting for a minute, and then I'm going to do some fun facts because it's just interesting. There are many, many reasons, valid reasons, understandable reasons why Black people could just decide not to participate in the civic process. From I'm disappointed by those I did vote for, from they don't listen to us once they get our votes, to, well, what does one vote matter anyway, to, well, I voted, but the person I vote for never wins anyway, so why try? Just fill in the blank. There are many, many reasons. So this is the AAA model, right? Acknowledge that is true. There are many reasons why our votes have not been allowed to be cast even today. And even when cast are not valued, counted properly, or responded to. Let's just let that sit. Now, here's the thing. In June or July of this year, in this local area, there's going to be what's called a primary election. On November 8th, there is going to be the midterm election, the general election. That's the election that happens in between 2 years after each presidential election. In between the midpoint of that 4-year term of a president is the midterm election. Many people do not turn out for it because it's not the presidential election.
Right.
And many people count on our not turning out for it because it's not the presidential election. So what we do is we're leaving power on the table for someone else to grab, because when we don't vote, we have voted for the majority. We have given away our vote to whoever wins. And in some respect, we've given our right to complain up as well. So think about it. Not voting is a vote for the majority. Voting is at least an opportunity to raise your voice. And many people may not know that 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds who go to apply for a driver's license in most jurisdictions, they're automatically registered to vote. But if they aren't, we need to think about making that a big deal, just as much a big deal as the Sweet 16 party or the part or the thing they're going to do when they become a teenager. You now are pre-registered to vote. And there are some jurisdictions where the teenagers can actually vote. This is their world. They should have a say. We want them in the community conversations. So think about this. This is how it matters. And I'm going to go to, I don't know if you can see this on your screen. Are you sharing? Can you see the school lunch? Sister Lynette?
I don't have that one up yet. You have our mission for Black well-being.
Okay.
So but while you're getting it, you're absolutely right, because I can recall that I remember my first time for voting was in 2000, I believe it was 8, when Barack Obama, president, when he was a candidate. I was determined I was going to go get in line. I didn't know anything about this man other than he was an African American, and I stood in line for about an hour and a half, and right in front of me was my aunt. All that time, I didn't even know that was her. And she turned around, and from that day on, from that year on, I made sure that I cast my vote, that I pay attention, and I vote every year. I don't mail it in. I make sure that I go to the polls because I wanted to make sure that it's taken care of. Okay, you might need to switch because I only see our mission for Black well-being. So you may need to switch how you're sharing, what screen you're sharing.
Okay.
Let me pull it down, and then you can get the one you want. And while she's doing it, Ms. Kern, do you want to add anything else while she's getting her other screen?
Absolutely. Valerie does such a wonderful job really laying out the rationale for this and the passion and connecting the passion and the importance of this. So again, we are, this matters. We cannot sit back and give away our power. We cannot let ourselves give in to that very, as she said, very legitimate urge to, to be passive or to be, to engage in any kind of apathy about this. This is the time that we seize our power. And the big thing is on the other side of the vote is to hold people accountable. Now, that's one of the things we want to educate people about too. So it's not just a matter of showing up and voting. And as we've been talking about, showing up only every 4 years, but it's also about now voting smart and also holding people accountable. How do we intend to educate people around how to hold people accountable once you do effectively get them into office.
Right. So let's bring this home to something that I hope all of us know is happening right now. Do you see the school lunch slide up now?
Yes.
Okay. So we try, first of all, teenagers, if you have one, they have an opinion about everything. And they have the right to have the opinion about everything. This is their world. We have screwed up. We need them to be part of the process. So when you hear in a few minutes about these community conversations we have going on next week, when you hear about the surveys, please engage them in that. If they want us to come to their school, we're already going out to 2 schools in Prince George's County. We've been to one, we're going to another to talk to their seniors about how they can earn SSL hours, student service learning hours, by helping us to get people to fill out the survey, including other kids, by putting us on Instagram Live, etc. So, but everybody cares about school lunch. If you're the child that's in school and you look at that plate and you're like, oh, is that all we get? Is we having that again? Or if you're the parent that says, why is chocolate milk always on the menu? Let's walk through this. I'm connecting the dots. Who decides what's on that tray? You might immediately say, oh, well, the school does. Well, what do you mean by the school? The school superintendent. Well, the school superintendent doesn't really decide what goes on the tray, but the school superintendent certainly hires the people that decide what's good for folks to eat and helps to direct how much money goes to it. So now we got a superintendent that we got to put in office. That matters, right? You don't get to vote typically for a superintendent, but who puts the superintendent there? The Board of Education in your district. You do vote for them. So you want somebody on the Board of Education who cares about the things that you care about. So the board will select the superintendent. The board will approve the budget, but where does the money come from? The money comes from, as approved through your county council. Those are people you elect or you're directed by your mayor's office. Mm-hmm. Those are people who you elect, and it trickles down to what's on that tray, whether it's nutritious, whether there's enough. Who decides if it's free? We've all been enjoying free lunches throughout the pandemic. You know that money has run out. Mm-hmm. People that you elected years ago are now deciding whether free lunch will continue. That will affect many of our bottom lines if we have to pay for school lunch during summer school or all of next year, suddenly after 2 years. Who elects those people? We do. So, and then who decides what's healthy, whether it's an apple or it's an ice cream sandwich? The Food and Drug Administration, right? And the U.S. Department of Education. And the federal government decides whether they're going to fund school lunches for free in a pandemic or whether they're going to extend that. So all those layers, to your point, from federal down to your superintendent, mm-hmm. who have a say. Even if you don't directly vote for them, like a superintendent of a school system isn't usually voted on by the people, but the board that you did select are the ones that appoint that person. So that's connecting the dots. So let me draw it to something that's really hot right now. Everybody knows about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, who has been through 22 hours of grueling, racist,
nonsense,
tear-jerking assault by our U.S. senators. Let me break this down to you. Every state has senators that you elect. Mm-hmm. There are 2 senators for each state. Mm-hmm. The Senate holds confirmation hearings for the lifetime appointments of people that the president nominates to sit on the Supreme Court, the ultimate court in the United States. The court that is deciding about reproductive rights, the court that is deciding about voting rights. Mm-hmm. That court, yes. You may not elect the judge, but you elect the president who gets to recommend to the Senate, and then the Senate gets to grill and vote on who sits on that court for life. So the first Black woman ever nominated just finished 22 hours of literal tear-jerking assault. Here's some fun facts. Everybody ready?
Yes.
How many Black senators do we have right now? Do, 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 do. Put it in the comment of the chat. Do, do, do. How many Black senators do we have right now? Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. We have 3 out of 50.
Out of 50, right? Wow.
So she went into a room where she had to find the chocolate drop in the room. And who are those senators? Let's go over that.
Booker,
Senator Cory Booker, Democrat from New Jersey, number 1. Who's the second one? Just elected from the state of Georgia, church brother, Reverend Raphael Warnock. And who's the third one? Been there a long time.
Oh, from South Carolina.
Senator Tim Scott, Republican from South Carolina. So just imagine her sitting there looking for a friendly face, looking for a sister. Did we mention any Black female senators?
Not at all.
No, because the one we had went where? To the White House.
Yeah.
There are no Black women serving in the Senate of the United States.
Right. You're on the representative side.
Yeah. In all the House.
Does your vote matter? Not only your vote, but running for office. Does it matter?
Yes.
It absolutely matters. Because closed mouths don't get fed.
Okay, so fun fact. How many Black senators have we had since the Senate has existed for 252 years? How many Black senators have we ever had over the past 252 years?
Wow. No more than I'm guessing. No more than 5.
Get your tissues out. I'm going to tell you it's a number between the 3 we have now and 20. So that right there told you something.
For 200
years, 20 in 252 years, people.
No more than 10 max.
11.
We're close.
252 years. We've only had 11 Black senators.
And this is something that's not even being taught. Most of us, they don't even know that.
That's right.
So when we talk about why can't they pass this bill that would help us out, we're not there to raise our voices. And one of the reasons that we're not there, for example, is that it takes a grip to run. Millions and millions of dollars. Money and politics are tied together.
Yes.
There can be laws that break them apart, but we have to understand how campaign finance, when you hear that word, that's what that means. The money that runs campaigns, we don't have that kind of money. So how can we get in the race? Well, you know what? Maybe you can't run for Senate right off the bat, but the next time you get a newsletter from your local recreation department board, or looking for people to volunteer on the to be an election judge and pay you $150 to be at the polls and welcome people or check people in, that's a stepping stone. That's a stepping stone. When your child has a choice between not doing anything or something, running for office in the student government, they're like, what's that? Explain that government starts where you are, dear. And we have the opportunity to have a say. Okay, last fun fact. You ready? Ready for this one?
These are educational facts.
Educational fact.
Bad facts, educational facts.
Ooh. What were the states of the first Black representatives in Congress? The 2 states where we had our first representatives. I'm going to give you multiple choice.
Okay.
Was it Georgia and South Carolina? Was it Louisiana and Georgia? Or was it South Carolina and Mississippi? The states where we had our first Black representatives, was it Georgia and South Carolina, Louisiana and Georgia, or South Carolina and Mississippi? What do you think? Take a good guess. It's okay.
I would say Georgia and South Carolina.
Tell me why you say that. Why do you feel that?
Mississippi is somewhat of a lack of fun states, lack of a lot of things, and they may not have anybody that felt that they were even qualified or even, as you say, funds. But South Carolina can be swayed just a little bit. And the other state was Louisiana.
Louisiana and Georgia. Yeah, Louisiana.
Louisiana is similar to Mississippi down by the bayou. It's like the poverty levels and the mindset of people is like, no, I just want the Mardi Gras, or I bet not run. I bet not say I want to run because then that might bring up some attacks and some of the racial. Uh, what's the guy who was in Georgia, Ahmaud Arbery, who was running? It may bring up some of those type of things.
Yeah.
Well, all of those things that you're talking about are very accurate dynamics in some respect for these areas. But remember, I said, what were the states of the first? And when I'm talking about Blacks, we had more representation in Congress after Reconstruction, in Reconstruction, right, than we do now. So think not 21st century, right? But think back to the 1860s, 70s. The two states where we had our first Black representatives were South Carolina and Mississippi.
Wow. Okay.
That's a mind blower. So for people who are down there now and they're like, how are we going to make it? Remember where we came from.
That's right.
We've been warriors who have defeated the odds forever.
That's right.
So what we're trying to say to folks is this. Straighten your crown and go grab your power. Straighten your crown and grab your power. And the power this summer when you don't want to think about it, this summer when you're glad to throw away the mask, this summer when you're already planning what vacation is, this summer when your kids will be glad to get out of school, this summer when you're at the fish fry or the reunion you haven't had in 3 years, this summer there is a primary election. Be about it. But be about it in a smart way. And we're offering an easy, accessible way for you to raise your voice and say, if somebody wants to earn my vote, they need to talk to me about these potholes. They need to talk to me about a living wage. They need to talk to me about affordable childcare. Answer these questions so that you can pull out that cell phone and say, okay, I might not know everything, but I can see who even attempted to answer the questions of my Black community and how they answer. And then to Diane's point, this same guide is the thing that we will use to hold them accountable after the election. You said you were for DC statehood. Councilperson so-and-so, congressperson so-and-so. I'm not seeing any evidence of that because we're going to go to their offices. We're going to do what the other very organized groups have been doing since I don't even know when. We are going to organize ourselves against the odds on top of everything else we have to do. Guess what? Why? Because everything is at stake in the ballot box. If you are over the age of 40, it is not an overstatement to say this is the election of your lifetime.
Yes.
Think about it. This is it, because this administration and those that are elected coming out of the November 8th midterm election are going to set the tone for who else gets to be on the Supreme Court for life.
Yes.
For what gets funded now that we're in a war and we are coming out of COVID and people want to declare it's over when only 57% of Black people have been fully vaccinated. It's not over.
It's not over at all.
Everything is in the ballot box, folks. So you're two things are not going to happen. Your brain is not going to explode if you decide to dig into Ballotpedia and figure out, and I'm going to share my screen in a minute, when are my elections? If you are in DC, June the 21st, make a note. If you are in Maryland, July the 19th, those are your primaries. Everybody's going to the general election on November the 8th. You can do this. We only use 10% of our brain on average, say scientists. So let's activate another 10% to be about the ballot box and exercise our power. Teenage all the way to those who can't leave the nursing home and want a ballot box put right there where they live. We can do that too. We can have mobile units, but we got to get active. We got to raise our voice. So we have some events coming up, DJ Straight. If we could share our flyers, that would be great. And I'm going to prepare to share our right now relevant resources that will help you identify your current representative, identify who's running for election and when. It's a click away. Just a click away.
Let me see. I'm going to share the information you gave us. Now, while I'm getting my computer ready to share, can you all, if you don't do it today, but sometime come back and talk about that primary election. What does that entail? I mean, because just sitting here listening, you talked about finances, you talked about the budget finances. I want to give people a clearer understanding, if possible, of what all of that means.
Oh no, that's easy. We don't have to come back for that, right, Diane? We can explain this.
Huh?
Here we go. The primary election is when you vote within a political party that you have declared. If you registered to vote, you were asked on that form, are you a Democrat? Are you Republican? Are you independent? Or are you undeclared? You said that when you filled out that card. So the primary is for you to vote for the candidates that are all running within that party that you chose. You can only sort between all the Democrats that are running. If you're a Republican, you sort between the Republicans are running. If you're an independent, you choose between the independents that are running. If you did not declare, you don't vote in the primary, because this is for people who are in a party.
Right.
Though the people who win coming out of the June-July primary are the ones who end up on the ballot in November. So if you started with 27 people running for county council or board of education or your state delegates or senators, now you got to narrow it down based on the primary election. From that 27 to these are the number that are left that are going to be on the ballot in November. That's what the primary election is. But when you get to November, no matter what party you signed up for, you can vote for anybody on the ballot. That's when you can, your party is thrust aside. When people who are not registered in a party, they just pick up the whole ballot and they vote from governor down to their local elections. That's the difference between the two. And here's why that matters. If you're in a divided state where there are, 30% in one party, 40% in another, 30% in another, or even 50-50, that general election is going to be contentious, right? You're going to have real support for both parties on that ticket. The ticket is just another name for the ballot. But when you are in an area like ours, as a state, Maryland is heavily Democratic. As a city, a district, DC is heavily Democratic. That means you're going to have a lot of Democratic people running.
Yeah.
And so the primary is the election, right? Because you're more likely to carry, the Democrats are more likely to win. We're nonpartisan, but this is just how it works. So you have to think about where you live. If you live in a place that's divided, then you're fighting at the primary and you're fighting at the general. If you're heavily lopsided, like we are in Maryland, everybody better get there for the primary, right? Because by the time we get to your general, it's not as contentious. Those who have cast the vote are going to cast it. And the other thing I'll say is this. Please be aware of when you can vote early, because most people will vote early. We've learned to do that in the pandemic. And they're also going to mail ballots to your house. If you're not ready to vote, don't throw it away by just voting for the two names that you know.
That's right.
Wait for the Black voter guide to come out. Go do some research. Go to some of those forums. Cook dinner and turn on the Zoom where the people for county council are, on some forum. Thank God for that, right?
Yeah.
Educate yourself, but don't throw away your vote because you vote without knowledge, or you just say, I only know those two people because there's a sign in the yard across from me. Don't do that.
Right. Absolutely.
Don't do that.
Okay. So what I want to do is, whenever you all are having an event, I want to get a flyer so I can post it on my page. And just continue to post it. Now, I put up these events that I have, and you want to talk about these 3 events that are coming up next week?
Before we talk about these, which are
take the day.
Let's talk about DC first.
Yes, the one I sent you, DJ Straight, about this Friday.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. While you all talk about that, let me go back and locate it.
And we encourage people to, again, reach out. You can go on our website, find out more about our organization, as well as the nonpartisan Black Voter Guide Project, and get involved and get other people involved. This is an opportunity for us to expand our reach and to, really bring all of our energy together and our Blaction and Blacktivism. We want to put that to work. We want this to be a groundswell that will be hopefully a wonderful model for us to build on in the future, and hopefully make this a true uh, nationwide project, which is
Okay.
to empower people.
All right. I have the website going across the screen. I'll have to honestly, I have it. I have the flyer in my emails that I'm viewing now. But what I'll do is once I locate it, invite you to share concerns. Okay.
Okay.
I will put that up. I apologize for not having it ready.
Oh, no, that's okay.
March 20th at 7 o'clock. Okay. Let's see. Let me download that. So while I'm downloading, if you all would like to maybe share a contact information, or I can put the website back up while I download this conversation for March the 25th and April the 1st.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the one that
Yeah.
will take place in DC. So I'm the DC lead, and we are having a community conversation tomorrow, Friday, the 25th of March at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, this will be an opportunity for people to gather virtually. It's a virtual conversation, so you can register by hitting the registration button on the flyer, which will take you through Eventbrite. So we're capturing everybody's email addresses so we can stay in touch with you and keep you posted about everything else that we're doing, our upcoming events, especially once the guide is published. So we want people to know about that when that happens. But come, invite others. This is not the time to keep information close to your vest, or
Right.
to get in a stingy mode and where we're not sharing. It is important that we share. Thank you, Ms. Lynette. Here we go. So this is the announcement about our community conversation, both tomorrow and on next Friday. So that, again, these are virtual sessions during which we are going to engage people in discussion. Also, hopefully encourage people to be ready for the survey. Those people who show up tomorrow night and next Friday will also receive the link to the survey. But we're also, as Valerie indicated too, we're making the survey available in a variety of forms. You see the QR code here. The QR code will take people directly for this flyer. Will take people directly to this link that where they can register to attend the community conversation. But also we will have QR codes that will enable people to go directly to our website and fill in the the survey once that's available. So again, people, we look forward to seeing you. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. My information, I believe, is on that flyer. Could you scroll down, please, Sister Lynette? If you scroll down to the bottom of the flyer.
Okay.
Okay. I thought it was. Sorry about that. Well,
Okay. I have your website up. Let me put your website up.
yes, definitely go to the website so that you can see, keep posted about what's going on. Contact us through the website as well.
If you have questions, you can reach Diane at beingwellwhileblack.org.
Right. As well as
anybody interested in the PC. Mm-hmm. And then on the website, you'll under the Blaction Planning tab, you'll see contacts for all three of our current teams. If you're listening and you're not in the Washington D.C. Prince George's County, Maryland, or Montgomery County, Maryland, areas as residents, but you want to be involved in this, we are happy to take volunteers. We are happy to have you be engaged. If you want to be a part of our monthly teach-ins, which everyone is invited to. If we had to limit the number of teams because the primaries are so close and we had to really focus. So those who were in by last month are the ones that are in for our forming teams. That being said, we will be meeting on Friday, April the 8th. And we will be having our monthly Blaction Planning teach-in, where we're going to teach people how to gather information from community conversations. And your community could be your family, right? It could be your barbershop. Y'all just sit around and say the 3 things the brothers in here really care about the most are X, Y, and Z. It could be your salon. It could be your workout group. It could be your PTA, your Boy Scout troop. But we invite everyone who wants to come to our free Blaction Planning sessions and teach-ins, and the next one is on Friday, April the 8th, from 7:30 to 9. But then in Montgomery County, we are having a community conversation next Thursday, the 31st, also on Zoom.
Here.
And at 7:00. And in Prince George's County, it will be on Wednesday, the 30th. So next week is a hot week, right? This week, Friday, you got the DC conversation. Next Wednesday, you've got the Prince George's County. Next Thursday, you've got the Montgomery County conversation. April the 8th, you got everybody nationwide coming together. We've even had people from Mexico, Egypt, London, that just are engaged in conversation about how to be more active, about Blacktivism all around the world. So please do come to that. And then I do want to mention that this survey is for those 3 jurisdictions, for people who just are more would like to do it on their phone. They want to do it by email. We have printed versions. We can bring them to your church. We can come to your meetings to talk about this, because I told you in the beginning, what are the things that people in power care about? Money and votes. Money. So when we send the survey out to all your candidates who want to earn your vote, and they ask the question, well, is this worth my time? How many people does this really represent? We want to be their campaign manager to say, well, they told us 700 people helped come up with these questions. They're more likely to answer. Right. So we don't want, when we talk about the team, you can be on the team. Don't think this is a team and we just want you to fill out a survey. You can join the team. If you know how to post to social media, you like to analyze data, you love to find collaborations, you can get us into barbershops, because this is a lot of women. I'm going to tell you that. Brothers, hear me and hear me well. We have to have brothers in this fight.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's not your thing to sit on a 90-minute Zoom. Whatever your thing is, email and tell us what the thing is. That's the thing we'll do. If you own a barbershop and you are willing to keep it an hour open after closing, to have brothers come in and, give them some snacks and talk about what's on their mind, then we'll do that. If there's a men's ministry at your church and you want to invite us in, and we do have brothers who can conduct the conversation, we don't have to do it ourselves, then invite us in. But don't be on the other side of the conversation wondering why you're not in. Consider this your invitation and come on through the door.
That's right. This has been very good, very informative, and I see that I have shares. I'm looking at the Facebook page. So listen, for you all that came on late, you can always go to the YouTube channel, DJ Straight, and you can go back in about 20 minutes. Once we log off, it will be on that channel. Again, subscribe so you can see all the exciting things that we have, because this has been a great session of information. Everybody has the right to vote. If you didn't know before, when Stacey Abrams, when they turned Georgia around because they were trying to keep people from coming to vote, when they were surprised that so many people turned out. If you never thought you had that right, you have it now in all 50 states.
Yes.
You have that right, and I encourage you all to go back and listen to this over and over again. I learned what the primary election for. I knew how to spell it, but now I actually know what it's for. So then you get to the November election, then you know what that's about. But I encourage you all to go back now. I had the website up, and again, if you all want to, if you came on late, you can check out the website right here. I have it going across the screen. And now I want to bring up the other information that you're going to have coming up for the 28th, the 30th, and the 31st.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? Let me share my screen.
Well, remember that we talked about in the beginning, why do we see this issue as a health issue? How do we define health? We define health, being healthy, as when everyone has what they need to be well. And that includes all aspects of life, from transportation to food to clean water to jobs to childcare to social and justice and appropriate policing, right? And it also means being free and from and protected from COVID-19, which we still are not. As I said, less than 60% of Black people nationwide still, while we're declaring this is over, are not fully vaccinated. Now, whatever your views on vaccination are, it's impossible to explain why we're declaring that it's over when our group is not protected, but we were the ones that were dying the most. Just think about that.
Getting less care as well.
And so one of the things is that we all have COVID fatigue and we have health fatigue. We're just tired of being told what we can and can't do. And I get all that. You know, Black people need to get over being tired, because every time you think about being tired, I just want you to think about Harriet Tubman. Think about Harriet Tubman. When you get as tired as you can possibly be, I want you to imagine standing waist deep in cold water in the one outfit you own, with your gun cocked, prepared to shoot even an infant who makes a sound while dogs and wild white men hunt you.
That's right.
Just so some people you don't even know can be free. And you do it over and over and over again. So straighten your crowns, shake it off, get a therapist, see an EAP program, see your preacher, whatever you need to do to revive yourself and say, I'm not tired yet. So one of the things we need to think about, though, as the world wants to declare that COVID is over, is why were we dying disproportionately? And the reason is not because we're Black. It's because Black people were suffering from preconditions that made us more vulnerable, one of which is diabetes. There is a link between diabetes and other preconditions and our death rate. So we are moving into a place at Elevate Her where we're trying to connect those things. And the one we've chosen to focus on is Black women and the prevalence of diabetes and the risk of diabetes in our community. Everybody knows somebody who's diabetic or pre-diabetic. We all do. That's a problem right there.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we are offering a free, hear me, free diabetes prevention program for Black women in the month of April and May. And we are opening enrollment this coming weekend. Free diabetes prevention classes weekly, free mental health coach, free fitness coach, free nutritionist and cooking coach, free. And for that is on next Monday, March 28th. We're having a free webinar to talk about diabetes prevention for Black women with experts, and we will open enrollment for that program. It's going to be quick because it's going to fill up. It's a pilot program. That's what's on next Monday. Please be there. Go to our contact me, Valerie at elevateher.now.org if you need more information. Valerie, Valarie, Valerie at elevatehernow.org. Elevate Her and Now, all one word, .org. That's one. And then, as I mentioned before, Prince George's County will follow DC's conversation, that's this Friday, with a conversation on March 30th, free on Zoom, and on Montgomery County will be on March 31st, next Thursday. Free conversation to have your say. And all of this, we will make sure, DJ Straight, you have flyers available with links that are clickable.
Okay.
Okay. VALARIE. A lot of people do that.
All right. That's the
decided to be special.
Spell it again.
VALARIE at elevatehernow.org.
Okay.
If you're interested in the diabetes prevention program for women, if you want to sign up for this webinar, and you do, because you know some Black woman going into Mother's Day, we're going to give people flowers, give her information on Monday about how she can not get diabetes. Flowers will fade. Wisdom hopefully won't. It's free. We'll hear about how to do it in a way that is culturally relevant to us and something you can stick with. Okay. So that you can save your life.
were you finished? Because I mean, honestly, I want the people to take advantage of these conversations, community conversations on Zoom. So
Mhm.
you will provide me the links and the information, especially about the healthy eating. um, it's just amazing of what we don't do, but yet we complain. And when I'm saying we, anybody that associates themselves with being a human, the people in Ukraine right now, they don't have a whole lot of choices, but we have choices. Take advantage of the choices that we have, the information that's available. So, again, I want to say thank you to Dr. Diane Kern and Ms. Valerie Davis. Are there any closing remarks that you all want to have before we close out?
Well, Diane's the closer of all closers.
Oh,
Okay,
well, I don't know
close
about
out.
all that. I will say this is a critical time, people. We can't sleep this election. Of all times, if ever there was a time, this is the time for us to show up, show out, and to bring others with us. So please use this opportunity to exercise your power, to become more educated and enlightened around this, and engaged in your own political process that affects every aspect of your life. Valerie did an eloquent job of really making it real in terms of just what the vote means, and so and how it affects how whatever the elections that we have, especially our local elections, affect every aspect of our lives. So please realize how important this is. You can make a change. This is the way to make a difference, and so this is what we're excited about. We welcome you, as Valerie just said. We welcome you to join in with us, to volunteer, to help us get out the survey, and to invite others to join in. So we look forward to seeing you. We hope you'll show up at one of our events, and if nothing else, just reach out to us. So the website is in the chat. Please check out us on the website, and you can see on the ways to sign up for the various forums that we're having, as well as how to take the survey.
And if you just want to be a walking advertisement for Black wellness, we have swag.
Yes.
We have t-shirts. We have sweatshirts. It's all in our shop on beingwellwhileblack.org. And every time you purchase some swag to represent, a donation is made to our organization. If you want to just make a donation that's tax deductible to us as a 501c3, that would be to elevate her. You're welcome to do that too. So we encourage you to get in wherever you fit in. And make this your family. Once you touched Elevate Her, like we got Sister Lynette for life, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Life.
We are
Absolutely
grateful. Thank you.
And if you are listening and you are feeling what we're feeling, then you're with us for life.
That's right.
We need to spread the word, because if you tell somebody and they tell somebody and they tell somebody, you know how it is. As soon as some news comes, we texting, calling, and everything else, and Skyping and FaceTiming. If it's an Android, you do all, and if it's an Apple, you FaceTime and get on those devices and use them. You pay enough money for them. Get your money's worth for those, because this is absolutely, when you did one thing that stuck out with me when I was in school, our lunch was 40 cents. And then in high school, it might have been $1. Now lunch is ridiculous. I don't know how the food tastes now. I know how it tasted back then. You only had a few really good cooks, but it's like that. Back then, we may not have had a lot of choices. People said, you got to do this, you got to do that. But now you have a smorgasbord of choices, but only if you get out and vote for those choices and understand. And the main thing, like, they hold people accountable. People, most people who, and I said this on another show, most people who don't like truth are the ones who have a problem with telling the truth. So hold them accountable for the things that they are said that they were going to do. We put them in office, hold them accountable. So again, this has been absolutely great. And my stomach is growling and my eyelids are getting a little bit heavy, because I'm not that big of a cook, but I put something in the oven like around 7:30, and they said 48 minutes, and I turned it down really, really low so I can make sure I'm looking now. I still got a kitchen downstairs, so that's a good day. But
Go eat your dinner. That's part of wellness, right? We all got to eat.
Absolutely. But This has been absolutely wonderful. Again, this is DJ Straight coming to you live from Praise from the Closet with our guest, talking about the Black Voters Guide, being well while Black. It has been my pleasure to sit here and to listen. I consider myself tonight as a student. Always, you can go watch it again on our YouTube channel, DJ Straight tonight. You can go back and watch it. And again, you can always, after you listen to everything, and if you just want some music to hear, you can go on our website, WGMLB.com, and hear all forms. Georgia Mass Choir just went off. I'm going to hold out Marvina Prince from the Islands. Hallelujah, praise the Lamb. That's an awesome worship song. Jason Crabb was on. It's the buffet. You're going to hear the gospel. You hear the bluegrass. You'll hear the rap, the bounce, anything. Michael Jackson is even on there. Music and me. But anyway, we're signing off, and this has been absolutely great. And now I'm going to multitask, and I would ask that you all stay on for a few minutes as we wrap up. That's how I normally do. So again, this is DJ Straight signing off from Praise from the Closet. Don't forget, tomorrow, I believe at 5:30, we have another guest coming on, Mr. Andrew Walker. He's going to talk about the marketplace. Until tomorrow.